Early Friday morning, about 3, I woke up with a strange migraine headache. It's got something to do with the heat. I've been out in the heat quite a bit recently. Ran quite a few errands the other day and last week. I'm going to describe to you a set of circumstances, and you're going to say to yourself, Howie, can't be. But it can be. I woke up at 3 a.m. yesterday. Severe stomach pain and choking. Come to find out, the cause was a food allergy. Now, I've had a sensitive stomach due to damage done to my stomach by way of a Haldol shot at St. Dominic's Hospital in the year 2005. It took me over 7.5 years to stop violent vomiting and pretty much daily diarrhea. Now here we are 10 years later. My stomach is still not fully recovered. I cannot engage in strenuous exercise or strenuous manual labor, although I still do some. And that 2005 hospital visit and then a back injury that I got about 5 days later working for my family ended my career. Now back to 24 hours ago, you can see that we don't have a vehicle here. We normally have a car, but it just recently started having a really bad oil leak and we had to have that repaired. That's taken several days and we will pick up the car today. So in this emergency situation, we called my mother's house. She has 3 working vehicles. One of them is a $30,000 Mercury Mountaineer. And there's a man that stays with her that is an acquaintance of mine who has been homeless for the past 5 years or more. And part of the reason stems from he has been imprisoned 3 times on very suspicious circumstances. We call the house. My mother does answer, and we tell her that we have a need to get medicine immediately. And I was having trouble breathing and choking and severe stomach pain. As I say, we've come to figure out that part of the stomach pain was caused by a concentrated fruit drink that I drank earlier that day, and then a different type dish that Jean cooked that I must have an allergy to because she ate it and has no problem. My children ate it, but I ate it and it nearly killed me. When we asked for help, we were cussed out. The homeless man that sleeps in the house that my father bought my mother cursed my wife out and said, how dare you call here and wake us up, and if you really need help, call 911. Well, it took me 3.5 hours to recover to the point to where I could lay down again and breathe normally. We never made it to the Walmart, which is a few miles away, and there'd be no way the 4 of us could have walked there, or I could have walked there. And we have nobody else to call in this area except our own family. We called my sister, and we were also cussed out by her. This is very sad because many, many times I have helped each and every member of my family in an emergency situation, particularly my sister when she makes suicide threats over the phone to family members. I was the one on many occasions who drove to her house to see if she was still alive, still intended to kill herself, and was too intoxicated and medicated to the point to where she may need medical help herself. Now, the injuries I had to my stomach stem from a problem within this family. I was taken to St. Dominic's Hospital in July of 2005 because I was being extremely psychologically and verbally abused by my mother and father when I was only here in Mississippi on a visit. I was a resident of Thailand then, and my wife and I were preparing paperwork for her to move here in 2008. You're still saying to yourself, Howie, can't be. Check each and every one of these facts. They're all absolutely true. I have a bad habit of telling the truth. And I had a recurrence of that same stomach pain 2 times again yesterday. So within 18 hours, I had 3 episodes of the same stomach pain that was making it difficult to breathe, very nauseated, as if I was going to violently vomit and choke from vomiting, because I have some problems with my throat from the 7.5 years of vomiting, daily vomiting that lasted anywhere from 45 minutes to 2 hours. Daily vomiting from 2005 for 7.5 years. It was sporadic after the 7.5 years. So the last 2.5 years, I've been in a state of recovery through the use of health food and herbs that help me survive. On the 3rd episode, which was in the evening yesterday, which, I'm just talking like 8 p.m. last night. This is now about 4 a.m. A stranger offered us a ride to the Walmart so that I could get the following medications: PM pain reliever, antacid pills, acid reducer pills, peppermint lozenges, and then regular headache medicine. I got these medicines off of the 88-cent rack. No one offered to go to Walmart and get those things for me and bring them here. I took them last night, and I am in a recovery now. My wife is in total shock and complete disappointment, just as I am, in this, what our family turned their back on us. My mother literally hung up the phone as I was begging for help and choking and just holding on to life by a thread. You're telling yourself, Howie, can't be. It can be, and it is real, and it is shocking. I have returned to a United States of America and a Clinton, Mississippi, where people do not have regard for human life, and that includes my own family. And the homeless man that lives in my mother's house does not have a driver's license and has no documents to identify himself, and has a very obscure explanation for why he has been imprisoned 3 times, including by the NSA, Hinds County Sheriff Department, Madison County Sheriff Department. He was imprisoned 1 time for trespassing on Camp Shelby and going into the computer room at Camp Shelby and hacking their military computers. This is very disturbing to me. I do know this gentleman somewhat, but you have to remember, most of the past 20 years I was living overseas while he was working for Envision, Lowe's, and he formerly worked for Aero Printers. We really don't know what this man's life is all about, and when he describes what he does, it doesn't make much sense. And the only reason that I offered him shelter at my mother's house, because I knew he had been homeless a long time, and he and I are former acquaintances. So I said, go to my mother's house, take a shower. Perhaps she has some yard work or something for you to do, and on those rainy nights when you don't want to stay in your tent, you can stay in my parents' home. My father is deceased. He left a very large estate to my mother, and because my mother favors the 2 older children and for some reason does not favor her 2 younger sons, which is Philip Bailey and myself, we are not the recipients of any kindness or generosity. Anything that we get from our own family estate, my father was the only one who worked. My mother never held a job, and she inherited lots of money from her father and her brother, and then of course my father. And we have to literally beg to get the most minor repairs. And today, when I do go pick up my car, I'm going to go to Good Samaritan and pick up charitable food. This is the situation that we're in. I was injured by my own family, and they have no regard for my well-being or health, or my children, or my wife. And we are as good to them as we can possibly be. We're good people. I was employed by the Baptist Healthplex from 1990 to 1995. I only missed 1 day of work in 5 years. due to the flu. I was there every day doing my very best at an elite fitness club. I have had a long fitness career that extended to Los Angeles, California. I worked in several cities in Los Angeles County. I then went to Bangkok. While in Los Angeles, I was invited to work for Sony Pictures and the producer for Bloodsport. I trained the producer's daughter, who is a camera crew member. Once in Bangkok, I was a fitness manager and then a fitness director, director of spa and recreation at the Capitol Club Bangkok. I was also an actor and model, and I want you to remember something. Since 1968, I have been considered legally deaf. I was mainstreamed to the Clinton public school system in part from a recommendation from Dr. Cronin and some other doctors when I was a child that said that I perhaps had enough natural hearing that I didn't really need to rely on lip reading and sign language, that I could sit at the front of the class and listen to as much as I could possibly hear from the teacher. I heard about half of what my high school teachers said, and of course my grammar school teachers before that. I acquired Meniere's syndrome in October of 1984, which took all of the hearing from my right ear. I have had no hearing in my left ear since 1968, and the hearing in my right ear was around 65% of normal. After Meniere's syndrome, the hearing in my right ear is about 20% of normal. I can't hear my voice some today. I have fluctuating hearing loss. My hearing fluctuates daily, and it has been that way since October of 1984. I'm a graduate of Hines Community College. I have an associate degree in community health. I have a bachelor's degree in physical education with emphasis in sports marketing, athletic training, and the study of the Holy Bible. I'm a graduate of Belhaven College before it became Belhaven University. I'm a Blazer fan. Life is going to go on, but that kind of disappointment, and I could tell you numerous stories just like it, is shocking. My family is very connected, and this treatment that they give us is based on a type of envy and jealousy towards me, because I am the only one in the family that has really worked hard throughout his life, and my career was ended by my family, not by an enemy, not by a martial arts incident, not by a weight training incident. My career was ended by a family episode that happened in the year 2005. I lost 8 nights sleep and ended up in the emergency room of St. Dominic's. They put me in the psychiatric ward. I was misdiagnosed with schizophrenia and given Haldol, and it damaged my stomach. Just a few days later, I was asked to move furniture from my family. They have never paid me for this type of labor. I was given 1 hamburger a day, and I injured my back, which caused my sciatic nerve impingement and pain from my lower back all the way down my left leg. I have permanent nerve damage in my left leg because my parents refused to call the insurance company and make a claim so that I would have access to medical attention. I was not making enough money to really cover those kind of bills in 2005. I lived a very modest and humble lifestyle in Thailand, although I was making fairly good cash money to support myself. I had personal training clients, and most of them were somewhat understanding of my hearing impairment. And remember, when you're personally training, you're toe-to-toe, face-to-face with somebody. In the acting, modeling world, it was a little less considerate, and it did hamper my ability to get more jobs. Back to the year 2005, I am severely injured and can barely walk. I had to lay on my back for 7 months. I could only walk about 100 feet at a time in severe pain. I was in 24/7 severe pain and vomiting daily. After 7 months, I finally got back surgery that I paid for in cash, $6,600. The surgery is a success. So the surgery was a success in 2006, April, and I regained some of the feeling and some of the motor skills in my left leg, but not all of them. As I'm talking to you now, I would say that I can feel about 65% of what's going on in my left leg. This hampered my martial arts abilities and career. I've been a cardio kickboxing teacher under masters instructors Thomas Trepetich and Paul Trepetich. I've been a Shotokan karate student of Don Byington's since the 1970s. I did not get my black belt with him. I got to purple belt level. Then I trained with Kerry Crawley to become a professional kickboxer, and then later trained with Dennis Conway's Taekwondo America, formerly United States Taekwondo Association, and I achieved second degree black belt. Those skills have taken me around the world, and I have students in Mississippi, California, and Thailand that range from movie stars to jet airline pilots to bodyguards, singers, models, and the lady that was the Prime Minister of Thailand was also a student in my rhythm kick class the year 2000 and 2001. I hope you have enjoyed my story. I have many wonderful things to tell. This is a bit harsh and disappointing. I hope that this story helps my family in a way that we can heal and recover and regain what we once had.